session will be recorded so that you may come back to it later if you need, and so others who may have missed out on today's events will be able to come and watch it. Thank you. So now, at this time, please mute your mics for the best sound experience. Otherwise, the feedback could interfere with information we will be sharing today. Without further ado, here's Crisol Escobedo.
Hi everybody, thank you for joining today. Let me share my video. So my name is Crisol Escobedo. I teach philosophy here at APCC, and presenting with me today is Crystal Robert. Crystal, do you want to say hi? Hi, Patricia.
Hi. Okay, there goes my mic. Hi, everyone. Good to see you.
So we're going to be presenting today on the EPCC's Pasos program. So let me get a sense of how things are in the audience. So how many of you have heard of the Pasos program before? You can raise your hand, you can type it in the chat. So one person, 3, okay. So 3, 4, okay, nice. So 4 people, okay. So out of 17, we could do better, but that's okay because you're going to learn about the Pasos program today. So the Pasos program is an EPCC program, and we do a lot of different things with the emphasis of increasing student success. So let me move on to the next slide. So to get a better sense of what the Pasos program is about, I think it's good to look at the motto. I myself, and I'm not the director of the program, but I am part of the program. So this is, I think, really nicely kind of sums up what Pasos is all about. And I'm just going to read it. The Pasos program brings together motivated educators and a community that view our location, population, and stories as assets to student success. Pasos is dedicated to advancing our U.S.-Mexico border community through family engagement, equity in the classroom, inclusion, and social justice. We will increase civic engagement through educational creative projects, service learning, and community activism. So there's a lot going on in Pasos, and even though we are coming together for the purpose of student success, there's all these different elements that we kind of want to combine. So we want to look at what's happening to you as a student in the classroom, but we understand that your identity and who you are as a person doesn't just, happen in the classroom. You are members of the community, and a lot of your lived experience happens in the community as well. And you belong to families, right? And especially for a culture like the Hispanic culture come from, uh, family is a big important part of it. So we understand that your identity as a person has so many connections to all these different aspects of your life. And what Pasos wants to do is bring all those elements together so that we can have a coherent story. Um, because our community is on the US-Mexico border, whether you identify yourself as Hispanic, Mexican, US, what is it called? A US citizen, sorry. Uh, so, I mean, we can identify ourselves through many different labels, of course, but we share the same location where we live in, and I think that that unique experience allows us to make those type of connections. Again, it doesn't matter how you identify yourself, you do have a connection to this area, and because this area is connected to it has a rich Mexican culture in it, then there's a connection to that too. So that's what Pasos wants to do. We're looking at all these different assets that we find so that we can go ahead and be empowered and feel like we belong in a place, and that you have instructors in the classroom that recognize that, and that you have places in the community that you can go to where all this rich culture is there. And also there's a lot of need in our community, so recognizing that is important as well. So now let's talk about the different aspects of Pasos. So the title here is Taking Pasos to the Desired Path. So how many of you know Spanish? And if you don't, or just a little bit, how many of you know what Pasos means? And again, you can type it in the chat. Great. Steps, right? So we recognize that what you're doing right now is embarking on this journey. And at least I like to envision it that way. So sometimes we just think, oh, I have to go to school. It's just one of those things that I have to do. But I want you to envision your education as a journey that can take you many different paths, many different places. So what the title here that I have here is for you to think about your desired path. What do you want out of life, and how can education help you get there? So again, what you're learning here at EPCC, I want you to envision it as kind of like a way or a venue where you can pick up all these tools. Just you're about to embark on a journey, and we take many different types of journeys. We can say that life itself is a journey, but in terms of your education, I want you to envision it as a journey that you're taking. And now let me ask you, I want to see some of your reactions. What kind of journey do you want to be in? In other words, where do you envision your life heading, and how can the education you're receiving at EPCC help you? You can type it in the chat, and if you're brave enough, if you don't mind, I know we're being recorded, you can also unmute yourself and answer. It's up to you. I want to see a couple of responses here. Hopefully more, but let's see. Again, just envision, what journey are you about to take? And what do you want that journey to be like? And where do you want that journey to end for you, or at least where's your goal? Where's your destination?
Hello.
All right, so yeah, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Antonio Garcia. I'm going to be graduating in about a month or so. And
Nice.
my focus here at APCC has been with languages. What I plan to do, I've already been engaging with some of the service learning. I'm doing Papagayo through my English class. I've also done some community service through my psychology class, and my focus is going to be on languages. And my hope is to go ahead and continue. I've already been accepted to NMSU, and my goal is to come back and teach at a university level and be able to extend to what teachers did for me, to reconnect myself with my heritage through languages, and not only through language. Language obviously has to include a lot of reaching back to one's own culture, and reconnecting to that, and showing people that there's a lot more cultures out there in the world, and by understanding others' culture, you can begin to understand your own, and that way you can also teach others that are not from around this area, the Hispanic culture, the border culture, Mexican culture, and how that interacts, how that has been interacting with American culture throughout history.
That is awesome. And you're getting a lot of applause and support in the chat. I don't know if you can see it, but that's great. You're one of us. you're gonna go ahead and go out into your journey to come back, and that's amazing. And you're right. There's a lot of richness in this culture that I think oftentimes maybe because we're in it, right? So we kind of like say, oh, well, that's not really important, but because we see it as something so normal. It's what we grow up with. But then, you know, from another perspective, we can come to understand, you know, how lucky we are to be able to be here and to have the culture that we do, because there's a lot of skills that we've been able to gain without recognizing that they were skills. So, for example, the fact that some of us are bilingual, that's an awesome skill, an asset that, you know, you go somewhere else and it's like it's one of the things that they look for, right? That gives you an advantage. But growing up here, you think, oh, it's just two languages that I know. No big deal. That's not much of a skill until you kind of leave, you know, the city, and then you realize, yeah, it is a skill. There's a lot of skills that we're gaining right now, how to be multicultural, how to be able to be kind of global citizens, being so close to the border that maybe because we're here we don't recognize that, but it's a huge skill. So thank you for sharing that, Antonio. Anybody else would like to share? I'll take your silence to mean no. So now let's talk a little bit about what we do here in the Pasos program. So, like I said, we're multifaceted. We're trying to tackle different aspects of what it means to be a student, and that way we can go ahead and help with your success. So we have Cariño in the Classroom. So that is an initiative in which teachers get trained on how to be able to include culturally relevant material in the classroom. There's the Pasos Journal. If you don't know about that, we ask for submissions from students. So it's an opportunity for students to have their voice heard and their work shown as a publication. We're working on scholarships, on providing scholarships for students. So that's coming in the future, not too far off, hopefully. There's a student familia engagement in which we seek opportunities where students and their families, because we recognize that the family is a big part of who we are, can come together and be part of all these different activities that we have. Um, and we recognize that the path to your success doesn't just start once you step into college, right? That there's a whole journey. Your educational journey has started before you get to EPCC. So right now we also have high school outreach component where we go into high schools to promote Pasos and EPCC. And then there's College of the Community, and this is where Crystal's gonna come in and help me a little. Crystal, you want to take over?
Uh, Absolutely. I don't mind sharing a little bit about College of the Community. I can't get my video to work, so I do apologize for the dark screen you see. But our College of the Community began as a way to help students in advocacy, and we celebrated Cesar Chavez Day in previous years, but now it's become a month-long celebration of Cesar Chavez and activism on our border. We've also worked with, we had let me just share a couple of our events. We had, oh, thank you, Patricia, sharing ours. So we had a couple of our events, well, for our month-long celebration, included amazing advocates from our classrooms at EPCC to icons in the community, from Dolores Huerta, who is a very well-known activist who won the Presidential Medal of Honor was bestowed upon her by President Obama. To local activists like Erica Marin, who is now the first Latina director of the El Paso Museum of History. So we've continued year long. It's no longer just for Cesar Chavez. We have events that we partnered with dance for Juneteenth, and we hope to have a really huge celebration, maybe hopefully face-to-face celebration for next Juneteenth. So that was our first annual Juneteenth. And then just recently we celebrated National Immigrants Day with the Move Texas director, Claudia Perla, who is a dreamer and a huge advocate in LGBTQ rights, voting rights, has done amazing work. But she's also an El Pasoan and a former El Pasoan. She's living in Austin now, but Coronado High School graduate. So it's important. So it's just meant for our students to see how they can use their voice and see others use their voice to further our communities and further our causes. Thank you for letting me share. Oh, we have a refugee supply drive going on right now. If we can get any donations, we'd greatly appreciate that. Appreciate that with service learning. Okay. I'll hand it back to you, Crisol. Sorry to take so much time. Thank you.
No worries. It's perfect amount of time. So thank you, Crystal. Finally, and the one at the bottom here, another initiative is Community Cariño, which I am the team lead for that, which is why I'm going to focus a little bit more on that one. If you're interested in joining Pasos and learning more about all these other groups and other initiatives, please feel free to reach out to me or to Lucia Rodriguez. She's here joining us today, so that we can get you to be part of the Pasos team. So one of the things that we want to do is reach out to the community, form partnerships with the community so that, again, we can work together in the space that we all share in order for us to be successful, not just in terms of our own personal academic goals, but, as a community. So what we do in the Community Cariño team, as we go ahead and set up partnerships with local nonprofits, we do things like donation drives. We have a donation event, a volunteer day. So sorry, I don't know why the Y is capitalized here. But we have these activities in which we partner up with the community agency, so that way we can facilitate a day of service and come together as members of Pasos, the community, and also students. So in the past, we had a couple of initiatives. In 2019, we partnered up with the Borderland Rainbow Center. We collected non-perishable food items, and then we went and we stocked and organized their pantry. And I think it was a great experience. They were really happy about our contribution. And then some of the Pasos members stayed and served the community. They were coming in. We did it for Veterans Day, so almost 2 years ago, kind of skipping over 2020. And we were able to come together and help the community. In 2021, we started our partnership with El Pasoans Fighting Hunger. So in the spring, we had a volunteer day, and we actually had 17 volunteers that day. And we did all of us came together with our masks and 6 feet apart as much as we could anyway. And we helped El Pasoans Fighting Hunger. At the time, they were not taking donations in terms of items. They were taking cash donations. So we have a donation drive going on right now. And then we volunteered. And they said, the best help you can do is volunteer. You can come in and give your service because that's what we mostly need, they said. They said, to be honest, we need people to come in and help us sort things out. And I have a couple of pictures to show you. So we went ahead and did that. And this semester, which is fall 2021 volunteer day, this is scheduled for tomorrow, November 13, 2021. And we're going to be there again from 8 in the morning to 12 p.m. So 4 hours. And we already have all the slots filled in. So that was really great. We went ahead and we could only reserve a certain number of slots as an organization. And, before we knew it, all the slots were gone. But hopefully in the future we'll have more events like that. So if you're interested in joining, you can. So now I want to go ahead, and I know I don't have that much time left, but I want to talk about the benefits for you. Why is it important for us to help out the community? So I want you to share some answers. So I want to hear from you. What kind of benefits do you think we would get, not just us personally, but maybe the community? Just think about all the things that can happen if we go and volunteer, or we help a local nonprofit. Good, healthier community. Anything else? Less stress on others, yes. Because if we all pitched in just a little, then nobody would have to do a lot, right? We would all just do enough. Okay. Greater challenges and goals can be reached working together. Great. I like that one. Sense of ownership for the community. These are all great answers. More successful students. Yes. Improve the quality of life. Create a sense of unity. I love all those answers. And you're right, there's a lot of benefits. So it's not just something that you do to get it done, right? There's a lot of growth or potential for growth. Exactly. Leading by example. I love that one. And this is us. That's me in the back. I don't really like to take pictures, but that one was taken without me noticing. But that's us, and that's what we were doing. We were packing stuff. We did all sorts of things over there. But there's a lot of ways in which volunteering or giving service to the community can help with student success. So there's personal benefits, as some of you mentioned, right? So you get to go ahead and make connections to the agency. And by the way, it looks really great when applying for jobs, when applying for scholarships for colleges, that you have service learning under your belt. It's one of the things that will distinguish your application from other people's applications. Opportunities. There's a lot of opportunities there for connections. We mentioned being able to, unite, come together, take ownership of the community, as Antonio said, and Andre said, lead by example. So there's a lot of opportunities for growth, because as you're volunteering, you get to be familiar with the workings of a nonprofit organization. So you're getting all these skills. You get to learn outside the classroom. So some of you mentioned that you practice some skills, like how to be able to work together, how to be able to come together to formulate solutions for problems that we might have. So there's a lot of learning, how to deal with one another, how to work together, like I said. So there's a lot of opportunity for learning. Learning skills that you might not necessarily learn in the classroom. And I'm missing an S there for some reason. So you get to work on your teamwork skills, you get to work on your critical thinking skills, and you can, like in the events that we do with Pasos, you can come together with faculty and work together on the same goal. And I think that's very important in creating a sense of unity that Lucia was talking about, because oftentimes we see like faculty here, students here, and for some reason we think that they're like water and oil, but they just don't mix, which is not true. But one of the great things that came from our event last semester is that some of our students got to meet us because we were online. we were doing everything because of COVID, making sure we were all safe. But some of our students, because we had students and instructors join, were able to meet us for the very first time. And it was good. It was nice to see who your instructor is. And what I think was most satisfying for a lot of students and faculty was this idea that, when we were working together to help the community, that kind of like roles that we traditionally have were merged, and we were learning from one another, and we were interacting with one another with safe distance, by the way. But it was there. And again, we were able to learn more about our community. We were able to learn more about El Pasoans fighting hunger, what they do, um, and they do a lot. So because of all of that, we were able to, you know, come out of there with a better understanding of the needs of our community, and promote civic engagement. So, well, we're gonna do it again tomorrow, and I'm sure it will go well. But we also want to keep doing this because there's a lot of benefits and a lot of growth that happens from experiences like these. And that's about it for my presentation. I don't know if we're doing questions after.
Thank you, Crisol. Thank you so much. If anybody does have a question, if you'd like, we can kind of wait until a little bit later, just so that way we can kind of give time to Mr. Lee Vasquez also, okay?
Thank you, Gemma.
Thank you so much again, Crisol and Crystal, for your wonderful presentation on Pasos. We always love to learn more about how we can do more for our community and for each other. So thank you so much for that again. So now we'll go to Lee Vasquez for diversity and inclusion.
All right, I'm trying to get this thing to work, so. All right. Well, while I wait for this camera thing to start, I just wanted to say we love the Pasos program. If you do get a chance to participate or do anything with them, I would strongly encourage, because they do a wonderful work here at EPCC. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Lee Vasquez, and I'm the coordinator for inclusion programs. And joining me today is Luz de los Reyes. She's the administrative associate for the program. And currently we are under Dr. Andrew Peña. He's the executive director for human resources. So this slide shows us who we are mostly. So if you see us, you know who we are. In the next slide, I wanted to share with you a little bit about our mission statement for DNI. It is all about our differences that makes us unique, and if we are willing to learn from each other, that can help us grow. So in our statement, we want to recognize, cultivate, preserve, and respect our differences and foster professional growth. It is great that, in talking with like the Pasos presentation right now, we want to learn about our differences. We want to learn about different cultures, as Antonio, he mentioned. And I think that's great, and hopefully by doing that, we are able to learn from one another. Our slogan for DNI is the spirit of diversity, which our logo pretty much kind of has that theme on there. I always, when doing presentations and everything, we always try to capture that because I personally think that by telling people stories can kind of like help, see where they're coming from, where they're going, and stuff like that. And I think that kind of helps us unite each other. Before I go into the next slide, I wanted to ask all of you on here, what are some areas and diversity that you can think of? For example, we always think of race and ethnicity, and we celebrate like Hispanic heritage and Black history. But what are some other things that you can think of that can be with like diversity and stuff? And you could write it in the chat or say it also. I see some on here: wheelchair accessibility, religion, gender. Yes, those are all are good things. What else? Is there any more? Mhm. Dietary restrictions, yes, and that's really good. Like some of these things on here, politics, uh, I totally agree, and that kind of goes with our next slide on here, because yeah, the whole thing with, the first circle here to the left, it kind of goes with like diversity. A lot of people usually think right away like, okay, race and ethnicity. You always think of like the holidays and everything like that, but we don't think about dietary restrictions. That's another thing. One thing that I always Pepsi and Coke, yes, Lucia. um, One thing that I felt that in one of our presentations that we did, somebody mentioned like appearance. For me, as I got a little bit older, of course, I got a little bit heavier, and you kind of need to think about like diversity and inclusion, like in everything that we do. In our classrooms, one of the things is that they have those little desks, and the people sometimes, like when ordering and stuff like that, they don't think about different body types. So I don't know if you've ever had that issue of like going to a classroom and you have to get into those little seats and stuff. uh, so that's something to think about, because if a person is not comfortable but they're being in a lesson or anything like that, they're not going to really be paying attention to what the instructor is saying or anything like that, because of course they can't fit into the desk, or things like that. Another thing that left hand and right hand desks. Yes, that's another one. That's true. The whole thing with just providing something as simple as that. Now, I know that we've talked about through the Office of Student Success. I know they mentioned like students sometimes don't have a meal or don't have time to go eat or don't have the means and stuff like that. So sometimes being hungry, that can be an issue too. So one thing that I wanted to kind of show in the little circle was that there's so many things that we can kind of think about, when it comes to diversity. The whole thing of family, where you come from, age, that's a big one too. Uh, a different age, people get treated differently, by their age. Um, Work experience, whether you have that degree or don't, some people might have that block or something like that too. um, Religion, that's a big one too. um, so one of the things that I wanted to show here, and the other ones, is that one ways that like diversity and inclusion programs is kind of like looking at these things is like, what can we do to kind of address these things, and help you all pretty much in talking about it, being exposed. So we have everything from like a newsletter to celebrating certain things. We also have panel discussions, um, cultural events, film discussions, safe zone for the LGBTQ. So there's a lot of things like that. So one thing that I wanted to show you too was that, so how do we kind of like come up with these? Uh, and that's where it all comes to you all too, because whenever you attend one of our workshops or anything like that, we always ask you to fill out a survey. And in doing that survey, we ask you, what topics are you most interested in? Let us know, if you know of any speakers that you would like to hear. If you want to be a speaker, or of something that's topics, we give you that opportunity. Another way is that through our diversity council, we have a diversity council meeting, which we invite the community, EPCC faculty, students to come together. And usually we have 2 meetings every month, every year. And in those meetings, the members get to see the accomplishments that we do. They also get to make suggestions for future events, recommend guest speakers, and give even suggestions or improvements or changes relative to diversity, facilities, and policies. So this is one way of kind of like getting, the community and you all here at EPCC participate. One thing that we always kind of struggle, and it's great that we're doing this today because we want to reach out more to students, and we want students to join us and let us know, well, this is what we see. We want to participate a little bit more. And by participating in our diversity council, you can. Later on, I'm going to share a link with you all. If you want to participate or be a part of these committees, you can. We're always looking for new people to help volunteer or to be part of the committees to help us with these events. So the Diversity Council is coming up, and that's one great way of doing that. Through the Diversity Council, we've gotten many, many suggestions. One of our biggest ones was the Safe Zone. On here, I know it's a lecture series because that's something we're currently doing. But it was started in, I believe, in 2017. We had one of the faculty step up, and she said that students were coming up and wanting to know a little bit more about LGBTQ or where to direct them for more services. And that's where they came up. Dr. Eschmacher helped with a group of people, joined to become committee members, and Crystal is one of them. So thank you, Crystal, for being there. To kind of come up with that committee, they fought so hard to create the Safe Zone, and through that Safe Zone, we have trainings. The trainings are pretty much done in person. And the reason that we felt that we needed to do those in person is because a lot of the topics that we talk about, we prefer face-to-face and stuff like that because people feel a little bit more able to share and listen a little bit more to what is going on. So the Safe Zone, like I said, it started like around 2017. It's been going really, really strong. It's been building up. After the pandemic, kind of like began and everything, we felt that, that face-to-face we couldn't do. So how did we continue keeping and doing those lessons, those conversation going? So we came up with the lecture series. So the great thing about that is that we've been able to invite people from the community, guests, even here from EPCC, to talk about, different topics and things that the LGBT faces. And we've been able to have great presenters on there. So I invite you as students to come and join us for that too, because you're part of the conversation too. Another thing that we all do is the diversity. Why does it matter? That's a workshop that we do. Diversity is very, very important. Like I said, we need to include everybody and keep that conversation going and learning from each other. We also do presentations for new employee orientation. Faculty development is another one where we do like different topics also. We have the Brave New World workshops and the equity workshops where we talk about, what's going on in the community. When the whole pandemic happened, we were able to do some workshops to talk about, how people felt, what is it that, it is to come back to EPCC and everything, and just start that conversation. Also, when Black Lives Matter and the Asian Pacific, when a lot of things were happening, we got to do some workshops on that and discussion panels. So that brought a little bit of what was coming out in the community here. Right now, we are currently working on a workshop for unconscious bias. A lot of us, we hold thoughts that we might not necessarily agree with and stuff like that, but we start thinking about it, and without even knowing, we might do like a look or something like that. So that's a whole thing that, how do we control that? How can we become more aware of what we're doing? So right now we're working on a conscious bias workshop. Some of the cultural events, like I mentioned in the circle, is Black History Month is coming up in February. So we usually try to celebrate those. Women's History Month with February, March. And then we have like a men's forum. The Hispanic Heritage, we just had that, Indigenous Peoples Month. So those are kind of like things that we do for cultural events. Within the cultural events, we also have read-ins. There's several events that we do with that. We honor people in the community also that have been making a difference. So we honor them by giving them a voice to kind of say what they've done. We give them an award, and then also scholarships. One thing that it was mentioned earlier, scholarships. We try to provide scholarships for our students. The Hispanic Heritage, I'm happy to say that this past year, we were able to give out seven $1,000 scholarships. So that was really good. We are going to have means now to do even for like the Black History and the women's. So be on the lookout for those opportunities. I always encourage students, try for any scholarship that is given out there. You never know, you might get it. Always share your personal story. So I think that's pretty good to see where you come from and everything. That makes a big impact. The diversity survey, that's another thing that we're gearing up to hopefully do soon, to learn a little bit more about like our EPCC dynamics and stuff. So we have that. I am happy to say that because all these things that we've been doing and programs, great programs like the Pasos program and student leadership has been doing a lot of great stuff out there. We were recognized for the HEAT Award. So we got the HEAT Award. This is our 9th year that we received the HEAT Award, so that's great. It comes throughout the Insights, which is a diversity magazine. It's one of the oldest and largest national diversity publication. So we were honored to have that. And correct me if I'm wrong, Luz, but I believe we were the only Texas community college that got this honor. So I think that's very good. And one of the things about filling out this application for the HEAT Award is that we get to see what initiatives we've been doing, the programs and outreach that EPCC has, the retention and completion by doing programs, like workshops and bringing in people and everything like that. People feel more part of EPCC. That's why we always try to engage students, and that's why we get to kind of see that. And this year, participating in filling out the HEAT Award, I got to see a little glimpse of what EPCC has done, which they've been doing a great job, and things that we still need to work on. But hopefully, in working and doing more of these things, we are able to increase, what we offer to students and become even better. So this award kind of shows us that we're in the right direction. We still have a lot more to do, but we will do it. So I know that next week for the board meeting, we are going to be presenting Dr. Serrata and the board with the HEAT Award. So that's going to be good. One thing that I wanted to invite all of you on here is that, like I mentioned, the Safe Zone lectures. We will be having our next Safe Zone lecture on December 1st, which is a Wednesday. Usually our workshops are from noon to 1:30. So if you have time, the flyer is going to be going out pretty soon. If not, I'm going to be sharing our EPCC diversity webpage where you can go and join us there. It's going to be World's AIDS Day, so we are lucky to have great presenters that are going to talk about HIV prevention and pretty much anything, kind of like celebrating kind of like the World's AIDS Day and kind of like saying like for all the people that we've lost and everything like that. So please, that's going to be our lecture on December 1st. Some of the other events that we have coming up is going to be the Diversity Council meeting on December 8th, and that's going to finish off the semester pretty much for us. After that, in January, we do have Faculty Development Week. One of the great things that I got to attend last year was a talk that was, so you want to talk about race. And it was really good because it was with Dr. Garula, Sarah Jarwakowicz, I can't even say her name, Jekowitz, and Isabel Mora. They did a great job, and I'm going to be joining them this time around to talk about that book. It's all you want to talk about race, and I think it's going to be very interesting and very much needed. Another workshop that we'll be doing is the Safe Zone, looking towards the future. And that one, it's going to be a little bit about like possibly what's coming up with Safe Zone this coming year. Hopefully, we plan to do more face-to-face. So be on the lookout for that for the trainings. So hopefully we'll be able to do that. Black History Month, like I mentioned, February will be Black History Month, and then Women's History Month also. Oh, one thing, going back a little bit on that slide, I do want to mention that, everybody on here, if you want to be a speaker, if you're an instructor or anything, you can bring your classes. You can serve or participate in a committee. That's one of the biggest things is that, we really want to do workshops with students. If you feel that you have a topic or something like that you want to participate, I think that will be great. Oops, I'm sorry. All right, let me see. And then getting involved. So how do you get involved? Luz, if you could please share that our link. We do have that link on there. If you want to be involved in any of these things, if you want to be part of a committee, feel free to fill out that form, and we'll get back to you. You could be part, like I said, as part of the committee or volunteer in any of the events that are coming up. Once again, this is our contact information. Dr. Peña is right now leading the diversity inclusion programs, but there's Luz information and myself. And then also follow us on social media. We do have Facebook, we have Instagram. So a lot of our events and stuff like that, we post them on there. Make sure that you follow us for all that. And then also visit us on our webpage, our EPCC Diversity webpage, if for all the events and to sign up and everything like that. Are there any questions or anything like that you might have for diversity? I know I went a little fast on here. No?
Does anyone have any questions for either diversity or the Pasos program? You have our undivided attention.
Yes.
Yes, it was an excellent presentation, Lucia. I agree.
Yes.
Okay, well, if there isn't any more questions, feel free to post in the chat if you're a little shy, or you can even turn on your mic and you can ask a question after you raise your hand. But if not, I'll go ahead and I'm going to share with you guys what's going to happen next week. So, next week we'll be continuing on with our collaboration with the EPCC Mental Health Committee. They'll be having any cows. Checking in can go a long way. At any given time, someone can have a cow. This is not a quote of Bart Simpson, but rather someone may be experiencing a crisis of the week. Whether you're a faculty member, a staff member, or a student, asking someone how you're doing can go a long way. And so that session will be in this room at 1 o'clock. And then at 3 o'clock in this room, today we're going to have Happy Math Hour, but also next week we'll be having Happy Math Hour as well. And for Math 1314, we'll be having inverses and determinants of matrices. And for Math 1324, we'll have basic concepts of probability, permutations, and combinations, which I know that's a tough one for a lot of students, so you should definitely check it out. I would like to thank our presenters for being wonderful presenters today, and I would also like to thank the audience for being an amazing audience. I hope y'all have a wonderful weekend and have a lovely day.